Hello. Hope everyone can hear me now. I am here with HP2 Lowcast, which is Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets for the PC, which is probably a game, well, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets for the PC, probably a game most of you have seen already before, since it's been in this a couple times already just in the event. The category here is Lowcast, which basically means just going to be going for the minimum number of casts that we can do, and that's taking priority over going for a low time. Though of course we still do want to go as fast as possible, but that's a bit less of a priority here, and this is a bit difficult for a run to do consistently, so we'll see exactly how it goes. I might not end up going for the exact minimum number of casts, depending on what happens. But I guess just kick it off soon and see how it goes. Do a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So, starting the game in Willow, there's not a whole lot we can do in this level. You might have noticed at the beginning of the cutscene there that was in English. That's basically just my laziness. Haven't bothered saving 20 seconds in a category where even the world record is still behind by over 20 minutes of what is optimal. Just going to, well, I did the first cast there on that Lumos. Going to do a boost here, which, wow, that failed. But can thankfully redo that. And then that's just the same as you would do in a normal speed run, but obviously it's still helping us skip a large part of the level, and thus helping us skip casts, even if it's something we would do for speed anyways. Want to clip up here, if I can get that. And then we're getting this wizard card, which I will explain a bit more later, but just trust me, that's something important for the run that we are actually going to need, even though it's not a run where collectibles are part of the rule set. We have a bit of an easy part here where even if you're just running the game casually, you don't really need to do any casts. So I'll explain a bit more about the category. You would think, well, I guess it isn't actually anywhere on screen that we're going for 63 casts, but that is what we're going for. However, that's not necessarily the true minimum number of casts you can do in this game. In fact, without modifying the game files, the minimum casts you could do is actually 40. However, it's a bit of a trick there because we actually are modifying the game files to make it run at 60 FPS, which prevents us from doing a trick that would skip 9 casts. And then we also, rather than following the any % rule set, we're following the warpless rule set, just so that we actually have to play through all of the levels, and that makes it so that the run has another 14 casts, which brings it up to 63. Now, there's a good chance we won't end up actually doing 63 casts here, because that relies on a good bit of RNG, but we'll see where the world brings us with that. So, we're entering Rictusempra now. Well, Rictusempra spell learning. In this, we actually want to do the spell learning, the arrow keys here, to get house points, because we're going to need those later. We want as many house points as possible in this category. So, that's unlike most categories. We actually are going to do this for the house points, and we have no way to do anything else.
You must hit all of the arrows correctly in order to progress to the next round. Ready to try? Round 1, begin!
So, as long as I don't get any fake inputs here, there's not really anything that should go wrong. Just doing some very casual rhythm gaming here.
Well done, Harry. You've advanced to the next round. 5 points to Gryffindor.
I guess
Round 2.
another thing that I can mention is, unlike in most categories where the RNG of house points is that you want Slytherin to have as many as possible, again, because we want the house point lead, this is a category where we actually want to have as few house points for Slytherin as possible, just so that we can have more time in the bonus bean room more easily.
Round 3, begin.
Now, we're coming up on the first real Lowcast strat, which is actually totally different from anything you would do in a normal category. Just as soon as we enter Ricta Sempra here. So this crab, well, we don't want to cast on it. Instead, we're going to just trick him into walking into the hole on his own. So we need to wait a little bit for him to get into the right spot. Let the crab see us. And then we're going to wait to fire once, and then hide, and then the crab is going to walk to the side there, get bored, and then walk in that direction, and just go in. Now, I'm collecting star here, again, because that gets more house points, and we want house points. I'm going to actually collect beans here, which is important, because I'm going to have to, in a couple rooms from now, knock out a gnome. Well, more accurately, I'm going to trick the gnome into knocking himself out. And in order to lure the gnome correctly, you actually want to have some beans, because there's like a random part in the code where if you don't have beans, the gnome might not chase you correctly. Just lured the snail in there pretty easily. I'm going to boost up here to get this star. And then luring the second snail in. This is a pretty easy part right here, though occasionally get the wrong ledge grab here, but that all worked. And now we're coming up on the really big RNG part of the run, which is going to, well, determine whether we can actually get 63 or 64. Have a few minutes, at least, to try the optimal strat here. First, I need to actually trick the gnome into running into the hole and then running out against the edge here so that he knocks himself out. That went nicely. Not taking the save yet because there's a trap here and I actually can't pick up that second bean, so I need the gnome to pick it up for me so that later the gnome won't be lured by the bean into going in the wrong direction when I need him to do something. So I can just casually lure the gnome back down the stairs so I can knock him out the same way again. Let's see if this goes well. Well, a bit of a lull here before the potentially really boring or really exciting part if I somehow get it first try. It's a bit annoying to lure the gnomes in here because, well, they kind of want to chase you quickly after, but there, he's in. Hopefully he will get knocked out correctly here. And that looks good. So I'm going to save here, finally. And good. Oh, I should have actually probably picked up that frog earlier since I had free time where I could have, but oh well. Now what I want is for the gnome to wake up, run towards that area, and then I will flipendo him twice. He will actually, after I activate the trap, block the bars there so that I can walk through. But that depends on the gnome cooperating, which is not something that really happens super conveniently. Plus, it's something I could easily mess up on my own if I just do the wrong timing or miss aim or something. So there's a bit of a choice here in how long to wait for the gnome, or deciding if it is better to just give up and retry. As long as the gnome is kind of close to a good spot, I usually just keep running around for a bit. We'll see where it goes. He's so close, but just not going to the right place. That, I think, is bad. I don't think it actually blocked it far enough, but we'll try just a little bit. Nope. It's actually nice. I usually don't play listening to the game audio, but there actually is a sound cue because that music starts playing before the trap actually activates, so that's making it easier on me to tell how far forward I can walk. But yeah, we potentially, if we were truly going for 63 casts and not spending a bit of time trying to stay an estimate, it would not be super difficult to spend dozens of minutes here. I actually did once, just as a test to see approximately how long this takes on average. I did a really weird meme thing of just doing this 10 times in a row, which took about 80 minutes, but I don't know. They aren't all the same, so it's hard to tell if you'll get lucky or not. But I guess 8 minutes average is technically doable if you don't mess anything up, and probably even below that since I did mess things up even when doing that. So, obviously, not getting it super well here. That's probably just going to run towards us, yep. So, ideally, he would just immediately run into the correct position after waking up, and that happens sometimes. I'm not sure, like, when it's actually really worth it to wait more than that. If this were an actual run attempting to get, like, world record, I would probably have already reset by now, just because it already has pretty good RNG. In fact, my gold on Rick 2 just passed us by. That, I can't tell if that was going to make it. I think it would have hit against the wall. Nope. Oh, I guess I didn't mention it before, but casting all of these is totally fine because the casts reset when you reload from the save. So, otherwise we would definitely not go for this strategy because there would be no way it would be worth it if you ever mess up. Wrong direction again. Probably just going to go a couple more minutes trying this before I give up and go to the backup strategy. I think that's too close to me still. I messed up the second cast. That almost certainly would have been good. Well, that time it was my fault. Let's see if he can go into a good spot again for me, or if the gnome is just going to be completely unforgiving. That's not going to be good. By the way, just so everyone knows, this is the first of 6 gnome-related strategies in this category, so be prepared for a lot more gnome sounds, even if we do get out of this. Nope. If he starts running towards me, then he's just going to see me, so there's no point in even letting it continue at all. I could technically, like, move backwards after I throw him, but then it would take effort to get back into the correct position and be a bit more difficult there. 2. Maybe this could be good. If he stops staying against the wall there. If he had started running randomly in the opposite direction, that might have worked, but he started running towards the wall again. It was still worth trying there, though, because sometimes that actually does work well. And I think this is going to be my last attempt before I switch to backup strategy. So, fingers crossed, or they would be if I didn't have them on the controls. Nope. Okay, I'm going to go for the 3-cast backup strat here, in which, well, there are actually multiple backup strats you could do here. One is to lure one of the crabs in, and then push another crab in, but what I'm going to do is basically the backup version of the normal strat, where I actually manually push the gnome into place. I think that might be a bit too close, but we'll see if it works. Ooh, I actually just messed up the timing myself on that. That was a good position. So I'm trying to move forward and trigger the trap after the first spell hits, basically. And this can still take a couple tries, but it's certainly still easier than waiting to get lucky with a gnome. Keep blocking the bottom bar. Yeah, there's a reason why there are not many runs on this leaderboard. It's not a particularly convenient run to do. Some people get extremely frustrated with it, and it's very understandable. Okay, that was good. Now I just need to not fall off myself here. So, we're on 64 cast pace now. Just need to not mess anything up before the save, but that shouldn't be particularly likely. I still need this gnome for the second gnome strat, which is also in Rictusempra. So, just bringing him along for the ride here for the moment. Getting the star. This bar block thing is going to be the next cast. Nothing we can do to avoid that. See. A couple nice beans here, which I actually do need beans in this category, so it's nice to pick up a couple extras. Throw them out onto that platform while we do this little puzzle thing, which takes 6 casts. Totally unavoidable. And then he will just get up and walk off on his own. So we're at 11 casts right now. I guess I don't think there's a counter on the screen, so I'll just periodically update you. Got to the save without messing anything up, and now we're in the second part of Rictusempra. And Rictusempra is one of the most important levels in Lowcast. There are like 3 basically that have really major strats. Just going to jump across here, and need to get up here with the gnome, so we want to throw the gnome here. That crab is really annoying. He might snipe me and make me drop the gnome. Okay, I avoided that. Throw the gnome up, and then we want to boost up to meet the gnome. Pick him up before he wakes up. Get the star. And then health isn't super important here, but might as well get the frog. And now here is the second gnome strategy of the run, which hopefully I can do first try, but not too big of a deal. I fail. We just need to line this up. What we want to do is, there's another trap that we also want to block here, and it's sort of a precise thing here where we want to throw the gnome, and that worked first try. Need to line it up pretty precisely because there's some collision in the air that doesn't apply to Harry but applies to the gnome, so if you throw it at the wrong angle he'll actually just like fly up into the sky. Wrong ledge grab there, but yeah, you need to throw it at a pretty good angle and start moving at the correct time too. Oh, got animation lock the damage, but yeah. Just auto boost up here. And we are out of Rictusempra. Now, this NPC girl wants us to go to the weekly house point ceremony, but we are going to ignore that and just leave the castle to go talk to Hagrid. Which, well, there's a cutscene here some people might not even know about because it's only in this game state, but that's not the real reason we're here. The real reason we're here is to go play Quidditch. Now, basically, way later on in the game, there is going to be one single place where we want to drop down and survive, and we need a second health bar to survive. And in order to get a second health bar, we need to collect 10 bronze cards in the run. And since most bronze cards you can't collect without casting spells, we need to be able to buy a bunch of bronze cards. And in order to buy a bunch of bronze cards, we need to collect a bunch of beans. And in order to get a bunch of beans without casting, we want to spend as much time possible in the bonus bean room. And in order to spend as much time possible in the bonus bean room, we want to have as big of a house point lead over Slytherin as possible. And in order to do that, we want to get house points by winning at Quidditch, which is why we are here. Now, how we got here? Well, there's a bit of a weird trigger to enter Quidditch, which you wouldn't be able to get to without glitches, but for some reason that's available. You can even choose which match you want to enter, because even when you're not supposed to be using the menu to enter a Quidditch match, it still remembers which one you clicked on. So we just have to boost, get over there, click on the match we want to do, and then hit the trigger to enter Quidditch early. I haven't actually checked yet how many points Slytherin has to get enough time in the bonus bean room for what we want. We probably want to be like 300 or 310 points ahead, at least just to be safe here. I'm really not particularly good at this Quidditch part, but okay, there's 40 points. Okay, Slytherin has 62, so I guess we're gonna go for like 366 points or so. Depending on how lucky you get, it's possible to even get enough points with like 3 Quidditch matches, though I'm usually doing it with 5 or so. I might even have to do 6 here, but we'll see how it turns out. Yesterday when I was practicing, I actually got 60 points in both of the first 2 matches, so that worked out really nicely. But yeah, we're going to be stuck in Quidditch for a while here, so not a whole lot else to talk about. Let's see. We also actually have the ability to transfer points to a different match than the one we actually play, so we don't even necessarily need to play the specific Quidditch match that we want to get points on. But for now, I just am going to play this match. 226 points. Let's see. Obviously, there's also a lot of RNG going into Quidditch, which is sort of a big thing in this run. There is a whole lot of RNG compared to any, like, real category of this run, and this is a game where people already complain about the RNG, even in normal runs, so you can imagine doing this consistently is not super nice when RNG could be the difference between playing like 3 Quidditch matches or 5, rather than just the simpler difference of how long the Quidditch match takes. So that brings me up to 266. I want 100 points more still. if I got lucky, that could happen with 2 more Quidditch matches, but it's probably going to be 3. Let's see. I guess, is there anything else interesting to talk about? I guess occasionally people have theorized about doing other versions of Lowcast based on a different main category other than warpless. Well, if you're going to do it glitchless, for example, you would not be able to actually do this, which would be a pain because it's actually still possible to get unlimited beans without casting, even without being in the bonus bean room. So for glitchless, you would actually have to do that, but you wouldn't be able to do Quidditch early, so you wouldn't be able to get most of your beans from the bonus bean room. And what you would have to do instead as an alternate strategy is repeatedly re-enter Spongify and throw some gnomes in and get beans at a rate of about 6 per minute. So personally, I'm glad we're doing this with glitches, so we can just do Quidditch instead, because as slow as it might seem right now, it's a whole lot faster than getting infinite beans that way. Great Lee Jordan lines, as always. Always super fun to listen to. And another 30 points from that brings us to 296 house points. We also, depending on how many points we get here, even if we didn't have enough time in the bonus bean room, we could actually just go back and do more Quidditch matches afterwards, if that would be helpful, but usually it's simple to just do all of these all at once, right before the first bonus bean room.
Would you be interested in trading?
No, I'm not particularly interested in trading. Wow, I messed that up somehow. Not totally sure what went wrong, but didn't get up on here. Now, time for the 4th Quidditch match. Over halfway through, and just going to go to match 4. 296 currently. And now we're against Hufflepuff again, but Hufflepuff guy got a bit better at Quidditch, so well, he still just gets knocked out instantly. I know there's better strategy for Quidditch than what I'm doing. I just have not done the most practice for certain parts of this run, because the thing about Lowcast is that you need to get really consistent at some certain ridiculous strats before it even starts mattering whether you can save time in other strats. Which, let's see. Now, oh, I sure am closing in on the snitch. Thanks for that information, Lee Jordan. Okay, that brings me up to 326. Hopefully I can get 40 in the next match. I guess because I'm bad at this, for the last match I'm just going to do the easiest match in the game and do score transfer onto a different match. I guess my excuse there is I can show off another trick, and it's totally not just a matter of which things I can actually do. Messed that up again. I don't know, that's a bit finicky sometimes, but we got there. So hopefully entering the last Quidditch match. Just going to enter match 1 again. And now that we're in here, we can just press match 6, and the game will remember that we're totally playing match 6 and not playing the easiest match. So, back with this dude again, I guess Cedric. Well, he certainly doesn't seem very good at Quidditch in this game. Though, his team is certainly a lot better than my team. Wow, Gryffindor scored twice. That would be very annoying in a run where time mattered a lot. Because Gryffindor scoring actually makes the match take longer to complete. Here, well, I'm not super concerned with that. And that gets to 366, which was exactly my goal, so that is good. And now we are going to go back into the castle and finally go to the House Point ceremony and get into the bonus bean room. Now, we should have a bit more time than it actually takes to complete the route in the bonus bean room here, which I'm already taking a sort of easier route than is actually optimal, but it should be perfectly fine as long as I don't mess up a boost here or anything. She's been waiting for us this whole time as we went to do 5-hole Quidditch matches. And now we're in the bonus bean room with lots of time, and of course we can't cast any spells. Well, the spells wouldn't even be very useful in the bonus bean room at this point, but so we're just going to get by with boosting instead. Huh, I am surprised I did not take any damage there. I usually take damage on that boost, but it's sort of convenient not to. Yeah, we have a bunch of time on the timer here, so this first bonus bean room is going to be the easiest one to get a bunch of beans with. We could obviously still do one more Quidditch match at this point if we needed extra time on the second and third entries into the bonus bean room, but hopefully we won't have to think about doing that, since that would be a bit slow and also a bit sad to go back to Quidditch, which is kind of boring. Well, not that this is the most interesting part of the run either. So yeah, just running through here for all of these beans, and we're back in the starting room, and we can clear this out. Which, yeah, we should get up to somewhere around 360 beans after the first bonus bean room. What we want in the end, well, the minimum number of beans that we actually need to collect for the strategy would be enough to buy 6 cards, and the cards have a minimum price of 120. So we need at least 720 beans. The route I generally go for, I want to buy 7 cards, so I want at least 840 beans. But preferably I would want even more beans than that, just because the card prices are RNG, and they're usually not going to be the minimum, so I would like to be able to not spend a whole bunch of time just repeatedly talking to a trader to get a good price. Now, just another boost to come over to this side. There are more beans over on that side I could get, but usually I don't go for them just because I would rather be safe and have plenty of time in this area. There's a nice invisible wall here, which makes it harder to boost up, since you can't just go onto where it looks like there's a platform, but instead you just boost onto the top of the invisible wall, and if you go down there, you won't take any damage. Now we're trapped in here, so I can't go back and get those beans that I skipped, but it should be fine. We should have plenty of beans, and we should even have extra time here, which is a bit suboptimal, but trying to not mess up the bean route here more than I'm trying to ultra optimize this. There's still 2 more beans I can get here, so I'm just going to go for these jumps that are a bit more precise. But it's not super important if I can't get these beans. Oh, got that one. Let's see if I can get the one on the other side. We're at 359 beans, so as I said, 360 is about what we want to be at here. Just walked off there. Nice. Again. Okay, well, got that bean, so there is literally nothing left for us to do in this room until the timer runs out. Harry getting a bit bored, scratching his head. But we'll be done soon, and then we can, well, we'll see what the very exciting thing that we go back to after this is. Finally. And now, after we went through all of that, now we get to learn how to play Quidditch, which obviously there's no way we could have known how to play Quidditch before this.
Hey, Harry, want to trade?
So
We have the best
very helpful
values
of
in
Oliver
Hogwarts.
Wood to teach us this thing that we've done 5 times already in the run, and there aren't really any spell casts in Quidditch, so there obviously aren't any strats to save spell casts when you don't have any in the first place, so I'm just going to go through this very exciting auto-scroller. So interesting. Thanks, Oliver Wood. Okay, and then now the truly last Quidditch part of this game. Once we're done with this, we will never see the Quidditch pitch again, at least in this run. There might still be more HP2 in this marathon, I assume, if you really love the Quidditch pitch so much that you want to go back and watch the auto-scroller again. I probably should not have knocked her out there, because now she's going to come back. I was not thinking very clearly. And we're about to enter another very exciting part of the run, because now we are going to go to Potions class, and, well, potions are pretty useful because there are a lot of strategies in Lowcast that lead to you taking a fair amount of damage, and there are also strategies that just use drinking potions for its own sake, and you even need to intentionally take damage just so that you can drink a potion. So, coming up on the 12th spellcast here, finally doing another one. No way to skip this. Even if we bought the ingredients before coming to class, we would still need to open the chest to trigger the cutscene. Now, we're not going to follow Snape's instructions. Instead, what we are going to do is just ditch his class. Well, Snape doesn't normally want you to do that, but Snape is a big fan of precision, so he just kind of lets you leave class if you go along this exact line. But really what's there is there are actually 2 triggers for the cutscene where Snape says, "Where are you going, boy? Come over here and complete your lesson." And the triggers don't actually cover the whole area, they're just placed next to each other, and there's a tiny gap in between them. And we slid through, so we're just going to ditch class and go to a different cauldron where we're going to make our own potions. Now, the faster one, I believe, would actually be in the Gryffindor common room, but that one is a bit harder to use for what we're doing here, so I'm just going to go for this one, waiting for the save to spawn in so I can reload if I mess up somehow. And now we are going to do the potion duping glitch, which is a very wonderful piece of coding here, where you see those ingredients in the bottom left of the screen. They're behind the wall, so they're trying to physically fly into the cauldron, but because there's a wall there, they're blocked, so we just get to keep the ingredients and keep making potions, albeit very slowly. So we're going to be here for quite a while. I guess as long as I have nothing really interesting to do, I might as well go into some more information about how fun glitchless Lowcast would be, which is that potion duping is of course a glitch. So for glitchless Lowcast, you would not be able to get multiple potions from a single set of ingredients, but because there are unlimited beans, hypothetically you can buy a bunch of ingredients throughout the game, which means you would have to waste even more time getting beans, and you would need to waste extra time since you used the beans for the potion ingredients. You would need even more to buy the wizard cards, and even then you would probably not have as many potions as you might have in this run, where we just take as many as we want. And the thing about that is most of the strategies that we're getting these potions for are technically still doable in glitchless, but if you don't have as many potions, it's going to be much, much more painful. This Hufflepuff guy just keeps coming back to watch us. He always seems weird to me. I don't know what he thinks he's watching. It's very private to make potions. I'll just go take a save here while keeping the same angle. There's time to make the cauldron usable again, so you can literally save without losing any time here. It's possible to get a really fast potion on the cauldron immediately after it finishes the animation, but like if you mess that up and you're just against the cauldron, then it's not going to trigger it when you actually could, so it's a bit easier to not go for the super fast one, which is, I guess, wasting some amount of time. Only 20 potions in. I'm going to get like 60-ish here, so still a while left to be here. Guess. I see Beaver in the chat. I'll respond to that since I have a lot of time. There is actually a way to get infinite beans without casting. In Spongify, the first room with 2 gnomes in it, the gnomes always respawn every time that you enter, and when you're redoing Spongify, you can go in, trick those gnomes into knocking themselves out, throw them in, get beans, and then leave through the front door. You can get any amount of beans at a rate of like maybe 6 beans per minute if you're really good at it. So that would be probably the worst strategy ever in any category, but it's technically possible. Okay, about halfway through, let's save again. I mean, you can buy more ingredients like later in the game, though obviously that limits how many potions you can have at specific parts. Obviously, the fewer potions you make here, the more time you save, but if you make the wrong number of potions, then it, well, I'm going to lose the ingredients later after I go back to class, so there isn't much of a backup here, so I want to be a bit generous with the potions. It's probably going to be over what I actually need, which means that in the late game I'm going to just end up chugging potions repeatedly, because I'll have more than I actually have any real use for. Okay, 40th potion, about 2/3 of the way through. This is the last part where it's really a long time of doing exactly the same thing. There are some slow parts later, but none of them are quite like this. Hufflepuff guy back here watching us again. 2, 3. Oh. What's funny is we're like, I guess, 44-ish minutes into the run, and the only spell challenge we've even done so far is Ricta Sempra, which, not exactly the way the game is usually played, just because we have so many things to do in the early game that spend a huge amount of time. Yes, I did get some frogs earlier in the game. Obviously, I have all these potions, so I don't really need to worry about health too much. Those frogs are mainly, well, I was mainly getting those just in case if I like lost health on Quidditch or in the bonus bean room or something, because it would be really inconvenient to die. Yeah. I mean, Harry is very private with his potion making. Only that Hufflepuff knows how good he is at making potions. Everybody else is just in class waiting for him to come back, staring somewhere. $54, $55. Ooh, this might be the last time we see him, so guess goodbye, Mr. Hufflepuff. So close. Just going to take one more save and make one more potion here on the way back. Okay. I thought I had like lost my ingredients there for a second, but no, I just did not even hit the cauldron. Okay, time to go back to class where Snape has been waiting for us this whole time. I actually will be trading with the other guy later in the game, but not you. Sorry.
This leads to the dungeons.
Very helpful, Harry, telling me about that. Now we're almost back to potions class. It's almost like we never left, except for the fact that we have 61 extra potions. And finally done with this thing. So now we actually get to go to the second real class. I guess potions class doesn't teach a spell, but we're going to go to charms class where we will learn Scourge, only to try to use it as few times as possible. And again, once we get to charms, well, even casually, there aren't really any casts you need to do to walk around the castle, so not doing any interesting strats here. I'm gonna try to do a boost here, just get by there. Oh, bounced on Hermione briefly. Not sure that actually helped with where I landed. Not the best movement on my part, but entering Charms class and going to do the rhythm game again since we want more house points. See if I get any fake inputs.
Concentrate on the symbol in front of you.
It would actually be annoying if I got a bunch of fake inputs, like if they somehow prevented me from completing the thing, since I actually seriously want the house points here, which means even if I get a fake input in the first round, I'm still going to try to do the whole thing because I actually need the points, and I'm not just trying to do the time the best as possible. So let's see if I can do this extremely hard task. As everybody knows, fake inputs are totally fake and just an excuse for everyone failing this extremely hard minigame.
You've advanced to the next level of the lesson. 5 points to Gryffindor. Round 2. Go.
Even harder this round. Funny thing, I guess, about Scourge, the level we're about to enter, normally in any percent, even though you could warp out of the level, you do not warp out of it just because it's faster to complete it. So it's kind of a funny coincidence that the fact that we're not following the any percent rule set for Lowcast means that we do the same strategy as any percent actually, whereas if we were following the any percent rule set, we would warp out of it instead of doing the strat from any percent.
You've completed all of the necessary exercises. 15 points to Gryffindor.
So we're just going to do the same thing that many of you probably saw earlier in Warpless. That was the 13th cast. There's no way to avoid casting on that ectoplasm without warping. See if I can clip up here and just jump down to skip the entire level. That was faster than I usually get it, to be honest. And, well, that's Scourge. Super fun level, right? Well, it is pretty fun, but not a whole lot. And now we are going back to the bonus bean room again to try to collect even more beans. I might not be able to finish my whole route this time, but that should be perfectly fine. But we'll see how many beans I get. Should be good. I actually do need, like, the HUD information of the game to load before I can actually collect beans, or else they won't get counted. But that's not too big of a deal usually. Oh my god, I boosted super high there, but still survived, so it's fine. I'm actually going to drink a potion now, just in case I mess up another boost. So, getting more beans. I think what I usually exit this one with is something like 650 beans, so might be a bit less than that, but should be safe. As I said before, 720 beans is the minimum strictly necessary. And we're still going to enter the bonus bean room one more time later in the game, and we're also going to get a few free beans elsewhere from levels. So just going around the same thing here, doing the same thing as last time. Slytherin's gotten some house points, and I haven't done any more Quidditch, so we don't have as much of a lead as before, but still a good amount of time, just gradually the timer ticking down. And ideally I should really be using like spell tech in the air when I'm jumping, but I'm kind of paranoid and don't want to accidentally cast spells, which is why I'm not doing it a lot of the time in this run. Usually it should be safe, but I'm trying to be a bit cautious with that. Okay. 638. That's a pretty good amount, even if I mess up some stuff here. That was... I messed up leaving the menu. We're at 655. I don't know if I really have time to get any of the beans here, but we'll see. I don't want to take fall damage here, but I guess I can get a few of these at least. Okay, that should be plenty for what we need. Now it is time to enter the second really prominent level of this run, which is Bicorn. We can just jump through this. That one doesn't have any collision. No way to skip that cast, so that was the 14th cast of the run. Now, I'm supposed to cast on those, but we don't want to. We want to skip casts and also go fast. It's not super fast if you fail it, but need to get correct ledge grab here and boost up, and then we just land in this collision, and we can go around. Pixie's not on the greatest cycle. I need to wait for the pixie to go around here, because what I'm actually going to be doing is trying to ride the pixie up in order to avoid a spellcast, which is not the easiest thing to do in general, because you can't really stand on a pixie, you just bounce on it. By the way, we need to wait for the cycle to be at the right point so that the pixie actually follows us all the way down, rather than, like, getting bored and just leaving and getting stuck. Well, I fell off, but the pixie didn't bite me, so luckily I get to try again without having to come back here. There's a bit of an invisible wall on the right side, which you can actually use to make it easier to sort of ride the pixie for part of it, but the problem there is that if you actually have the pixie pointing in that direction, then once the pixie gets above the wall there, then the pixie will usually end up just very quickly darting out from underneath you, and you usually fall off. Oops, that was weird. My computer is not the best and not super used to this, so I'm occasionally getting tiny amounts of lag, which I think is what happened there because... oh, that's a medium. I just kind of fell off without noticing. Going to just wait for the pixie here again. And it's nice and convenient that you can just stand at the place where the last bean is there. You don't really have to think about where to bring Pixie's cycle. You can actually manipulate the pixie a little bit because the pixie basically wants to go like towards the front of Harry rather than just any random spot. Oh, and we got that, nice. So yeah, you can kind of move him along the wall if you want to. Ooh, is the snail cycle gonna work? That was convenient. Now, there's another crab manipulation here. These crabs have probably the most simple to describe AI for manipulating. They just shoot twice, move in a direction, shoot twice, move in the opposite direction, and they move to face you so you can just choose the direction that they go. So we just want to get them to walk into those traps. I actually moved to be up against the place where the snails came from a bit, just so that the other crab would not end up walking all the way out along with this crab and getting too far away from where I want to put that one. Let's hope I don't get crab... okay, I think I got the crab stuck against the wall, so that's not super great, but just a little bit of extra time. Should go in with this one. Just need to move this one in as well. And I don't want to really go on the side to the left here because that can make the crab actually lose sight of Harry because it's kind of bad height there. So just trying to stay safe by letting that happen. This is one of the reasons we made so many potions, because unless you want to be really good at dodging, you're going to take a lot of damage in this room. So you want to have those potions. Just a few more, hopefully, to get this crab in. The really wonderful part about Bicorn is that we haven't had a save book yet, so if we did die somewhere, we would have to go back and do the pixie ride all over again. See if he goes in. Yep. Now we're just going to drop down here. That snail wasn't on a good cycle for getting in. Oh, well, that wasn't really the correct direction. If these snails are on a good cycle, this room can go super fast, but that just kind of got messed up a bit because they weren't in a convenient spot. But they're, again, really easy to lure in. If they don't go all the way in, you can pretty much just bump them and make them go in. Which I might be able to demonstrate here. Let's see if it actually works super well. Okay. Now, we need this gnome. We're going to knock this gnome out a bit differently than the one in Ricta Sempra, because this gnome is actually standable. And if the gnome moves us into the wall while we're standing on him, we will just die. So instead, I was just standing there in front of the hole. Basically, once the gnome hits Harry, the gnome runs off in... Okay, I guess he didn't want to fall over. Yeah, when the gnome hits Harry, he runs off in a random direction, and I just want to maximize the chance of that direction being into the gnome hole. So then I can hopefully knock the gnome out, or rather, let him knock himself out. Let's see if that works. I don't fully understand what makes the difference for whether the gnome gets knocked out on the side there or not, but it's kind of annoying when it doesn't happen. And I'm collecting the beans each time so that the gnome doesn't go chase those beans, because that would make it not work as well, since I need him to actually be chasing me out. Yo, this is the third gnome strat of the category here, as soon as I actually managed to get this guy knocked out. And there's a save book up ahead, but I'm also just not going to take it. Okay, there he is. I'm not taking it until after I knock the gnome out. And then I can do this. There's an invisible wall here, which is to stop the gnome from running off on his own while Harry is completing the rest of the level. We can just use that thing there to jump up on top of the gnome, who is on top of the invisible collision, and then we can just get up there and not have to do that spell cast. Now, another gnome here. Since we just had a save book, I'll take the slightly more dangerous way to knock this gnome out. This gnome really loves finding those beans that are over there before you even get to this location, so he tends to be a bit far away. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Now, hopefully he actually knocks himself out on the edge quickly here. And we got him. So now, just need to do the wall walk here. Same as you would normally do, but with a gnome. Now there's another cast here. There's no way to avoid casting on this switch. There's a cutscene, and gnome wakes up after the cutscene. I'm going to throw him up here. You can also just pick him up instantly after the cutscene while he's still waking up. But this makes it a bit easier, and I'm also actually setting the gnome to be facing a specific direction, which will be useful in a little bit. Basically, the way gnomes work is that when you throw or drop them, they always land, actually, and rotate to be facing the same direction they were in when you pick them up. I'm just going to let the pixie bite me. What are you doing, pixie? I don't want him to bite me while I'm actually doing something, but also apparently he doesn't want to bite me, so... Let's see if I can get this jump first try. Yes. So basically, I have the gnome facing this direction now, which is what I want, because I need the gnome to actually rotate me through this door. So I'm going to drop the gnome in a specific location by drinking a potion, and then basically, if the gnome rotates in the correct direction while I'm standing on the gnome, it can push me through the door. I have no theoretical reason for why jumping onto the gnome helps here, but for some reason that's the only setup I can get to work. So we're probably going to have to try this a few times, because even if you do it perfectly, it's still random, the gnome deciding which direction it wants to go. Basically, the gnome chooses a random position to go to, and then it needs to rotate in the direction to go towards that position, and if that rotation happens to be into the door, then that can work for us. If it isn't, then there's no chance of it working. And besides the jumping part here, the reason I enabled auto jump is because I'm really bad at timing this for some reason. That was also rotating in the wrong direction. No way that it would have worked. Another wrong direction. Sometimes I just randomly get this first try and it looks super sick, but again, this is something that is very random, so even if this is a bit more consistent than just like YOLOing it, there's nothing you can do to make this trick work every time, and he keeps rotating in the wrong direction. Wonderful. The extra fun part is that we have to do basically the same thing again after this, but without a save book. So, we'll see if that works out. If I actually drop the gnome in too wrong of a position, then it can, as I mentioned earlier, push me through a wall and just kill Harry, and that's not super great for the run. Hopefully we can get this to work pretty quickly. Okay, got through. And just going to turn that off because I don't want that to be on for any other part of the game. Ooh, ledge grab. Great. Now, I'm going to also knock this gnome out in the safer way because I really don't want to have to do the door clip again. Okay, that was very convenient. Instant grab. I don't understand how those work, but it's nice when it happens. That was a bit weird. I'm also going to, again, get this gnome to be facing a direction that works with the position where I want to be. I'm going to actually lure the gnome out onto the edge of the bridge here, assuming everything works correctly. Yep, and the gnome is rotated to the direction I want. Just going to drop the gnome inside the door a bit here, jump just slightly on, and walk towards the edge at the door frame. Now this is pretty much a 50-50 if the gnome goes in the right direction, and the gnome went in the wrong direction, so let's just try to knock the gnome out again. Now I have to intentionally take damage so that I can actually still drink the potion here, because if you're at full health, you can't drink a potion, which is something that's going to be very annoying in a later level, and very important in determining how a strategy works. But here, I'm just wasting a few extra potions because the gnome doesn't want to walk in the correct direction. That was not really where I intended to jump, but I didn't die, so it's okay. Really unfortunate thing would be if I got through this and then just, like, messed up a jump and fell. Okay, yep, went through. And that is Bicorn, which is the second of the really major levels in this. We're currently doing pretty decently.
I'm in the potions classroom. Better keep an eye out.
So now we're going to go duel against Malfoy, which, same strike you might have seen earlier. Basically, we only need one cast and we make ourselves invincible. Just long walk here, not doing much. So here we just do Expelliarmus, go into the menu, and let Malfoy defeat himself. Which, thankfully, he's not trying to do with Mimblewimble today, because that would not work super well. And, well, that was easy. Let's go to Defendo.
I'm gripped by fear and I don't like it.
Defendo, again, going to keep doing the spell learning to get house points, because we still want to go to the bonus bean room one more time to get a few more beans so that we have enough to buy all of the cards that we want. And I guess Bicorn was sort of major level. We have a bit of a lull here before we get to the last level with a bunch of big strats, and Defendo's basically just going to be like a normal warpless run, except not done very well because I haven't practiced it enough.
It's about to move its wing around the shape. When the pointer passes directly over the arrow, press the corresponding
Another
arrow.
just really fun
This exercise is in 3
rhythm
parts.
game. See if I get any fake
You must
inputs that
be
wasted some
accurate in order to
time.
progress. Ready to try? Round 1. Go.
Funny thing is that we've only done like a quarter of the casts in this category, even though we're basically halfway through what like a good time would be. There are,
Harry.
well, a lot of the spell casts are stacked sort of onto the second half of the game, which
Round 2. Go.
is actually a strategy you could use to skip a ton of spell casts if you could somehow do the rest of the game without any spell casts, but that's sadly not possible. If you could just play New Game Plus and then complete the game without anything, that would be very
10
convenient,
points to Gryffindor.
but then any percent in Lowcast would be pretty much the same. Wow, I am so good at this rhythm game. I hope everybody's really watching this part closely just to see how good I am.
You've completed all of the exercises in top form.
15 points to Gryffindor.
So, Defendo, there are 0 spellcasts that we need to do in this level. What am I doing? Just jump around there. Then walk past this guy. Get this, or not get it the first time. Boost up here. We're going to take the star because we want points, and let's see if we can get this snail skip here. That's not the right ledge grab. Yeah, I only learned how to do that yesterday, so I'm not super surprised I didn't get it. But we can, in fact, just lure the snail to go into here, so I don't actually need to reload right now. Once the snail's going in that direction, I can just basically bump into the snail and make it reverse. And I need to do a bit more to lure the snail actually into the trap. Now, okay, at this part he should actually get lured by me, go there, and I'm probably not going to quite make it, but I do another reverse, and the snail goes in. And now there are 2 more snails that we need to lure in. These ones don't need to travel as far, but they can still be quite annoying. Let's just let that one go in first. That's not a particularly great spot. I did not mean for the snail to hit me that quickly. I wanted to actually get him to hit me while facing in the opposite direction from the trap, so then we do the super fast movement towards the trap. Okay, that worked out somehow in the end. I'm going to drink a potion because I'm actually going to need full health right after Defendo. So here, I'm I'm going to change to high graphics, and what I want is that Bronze Wizard card there. I'm going to do a manual boost here, where basically instead of reloading in the background, just repeatedly exit the menu. There is a glitch you can do here to make the menu work better for this. I just messed up and closed the menu without actually moving anything. Normally I can get a good rhythm with this, but it's lagging a bit differently than normal with the stream, so I'm just going to take this a bit slow. And my game just stopped responding. Usually that fixes itself. Okay, I'm just going to reload here because, well, close the game and restart because it's actually just not responding. Thing is, menu glitch, it would make it easier, but it usually doesn't matter because it's usually actually really easy to just like go into a rhythm, like pressing escape and arrow key and so on. But I guess this game is behaving a bit differently. Why is that red now? Amazing. Game got worse when I restarted it, apparently. So if you look at the little part in the bottom or the little frames in between, we're slowly getting higher. Does this really just freeze again? Okay, this time it actually unfroze on its own. It's a really good computer here, by the way. Okay, this should be high enough. And then we just land on this tower here. What we needed health for is we're going to make a jump here, which hopefully I will not mess up. And this always does damage, so don't want to be at too low of health or just die. Going to aim a spell here just so that Harry's left arm is available as a visual cue, and hopefully I can get the ledge grab here. That is unfortunate. I'm going to try this one more time now, otherwise I'm going to give up and try to get this bronze card later, because if you get this as the 10th bronze card, then you can actually just land into it, and then you get a health upgrade, which is a bit easier, but I like having the health at a different part. Okay, so we're back up here and get to have a second go at this. So the visual cue I'm trying to do here is basically when the left hand moves underneath where the ledge meets the wall, that's when I want to move forward so that I can get the ledge grab. And I got it this time, nice. So that is the second free bronze card. And now we're finally going to follow Ron, who has just been nicely waiting for us this whole time here.
Here's the greenhouse. It's always so...
Also, not going to stay in high graphics since that seems to be making my game lag quite a bit. That was a weird jump. Now, here is another spellcast. No way to avoid this one. Just entering into another one. Basically the same, also unavoidable, but we don't need any casts for the rest of this level. Well, I don't really care about getting bitten because I have so many potions. I messed up that boost weirdly. Well, I'm up here. Just need to do a little clip up here if I can get that. And just go around the top and be out of this level real quick. Going to... Well, we're about to enter the bonus bean room again. I'm drinking a potion just so that I don't end up dying on a boost or something. As I said before, this is sort of the chugging category since we have so many potions. I mean, I've already used like, what, 10 potions? I'll be using a ton of them in an upcoming level. I'm not even sure if going for that boost is actually optimal here, but whatever. Okay, we have the theoretically required minimum for buying 6 cards. Hopefully, I wasted a bit more time than would be desirable setting up that boost at the beginning of the bonus bean room, but hopefully I have enough time to still get 840 beans, because I would like to not have to go for the card that I've never gone for before and don't entirely know how to get. We'll see how that goes. I really don't know if anything I've done here is optimal. Oh my god, that's way closer than I intended it to be. We'll see what happens with that. Now, we're going to Dumbledore skip, which, multiple ways you can do that. Since we have so many potions, we could just do a very easy boost up to the hospital wing, but I'm going to go for the normal boost. It's always a bit weird entering here because you don't actually have a cutscene at the beginning of that, which sort of used to. Well, that went perfectly well. Now just walk to the bathroom. Now, the upcoming level is sort of the big part of the run, which it's about a quarter of the total runtime or so, and that is almost entirely due to a strategy that will save us just a single spellcast if we get it correctly. So, we'll see how this extremely exciting level goes here. If we can get through this okay, then it should be pretty free to the rest of the run. I should boost off of that block in front of us, and that would be one spell cast, but I'm going to go for the thing that I actually usually get first try, and just do a spell cast instead on the vines up here. You can do either of them, and it's the same number of casts for the route. You can get that without a ledge grab, but it doesn't matter too much. And once you get here, you can just walk past that web. Great collision. I'm just going to get a few free beans since I'm so close to 840. And now we're about to start collecting a large number of mushrooms. So the thing about mushrooms is that when you get one mushroom, I'm just going to wait for that thing to explode because it would make me drop the mushroom anyways. You can use it to sever other mushrooms, and you can get a ton of mushrooms just by using a single spellcast. That's also going to explode me. So if you can use a bunch of mushrooms in a way that allows you to save more than one spellcast, then it's worth it to cut off one mushroom and get the other mushrooms. This is actually like the most recent cast found to be saved, and the only one that I actually had any part in figuring out. But basically, there's a relatively obvious way to save one cast with the mushrooms, and, well, it turned out there was a second way, and you also need to be able to carry them to that, and Mark actually put together all of the parts there and was the first to do this whole thing. I'll just drop this because I would need to drink a potion if he hit me anyways. This giant fire crab is really annoying because he like fires at you. It takes forever when you want him to, and then it just like snipes you at the times when you don't want to get hit. Which is really just a part of how the cycle works because he fires a bunch of times in a row, which is kind of not the most convenient. That wasn't where I meant to grab. We still need way more mushrooms after this, by the way. We're just dropping them in the wall later, so we can pick them up on the other side. I'll wait for the fire crab to fire on us. The number of potions is, well, it's loose, but it's a bit tighter than it looks, just because we actually are going to use a huge number of potions in this. I sort of had free time to pick up the bean just because of the cycle of firing on me anyways. Just
while we are doing mushroom helm, we do have a donation to read. I have a minute.
Yep, plenty of time.
We got $20 from Finn saying GG on the gnome strats Ratburn, and also GG to this community for raising money for such a great cause. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Wait for that to fire again. And we're not done with the gnome strats yet. There's still one more gnome strat, which is part of this whole thing. I kind of want to drink a potion anyway, so I'm just going to do that. I think that's plenty of health to survive this. Yes, that doesn't do all that much damage, but I'm always kind of afraid of it. This gnome is probably going to ruin me. Okay. Well, that's still better than if he had actually gone and escaped up here and eaten the mushrooms that I still need for this strat, so fine by me if he wants to hang out there. Okay, I actually got all of those, that's nice. And there's still mushrooms over there that I also want to get. There are like a couple mushrooms to spare, but I preferably want to actually use all of them. That was not what I wanted to do, but it worked. Just going to kill those by running straight into them. And this is the last pair of mushrooms to get. And I guess that's sort of the first part of this very long strategy done. Now I need to build a staircase up here just so that I can actually carry other mushrooms up. I'm going to sort of make it so that I can jump up on here. I don't know how much faster this really is, but it does make it a bit more convenient at parts. What would be really undesirable is if, like, a snail or a gnome hits me when I'm standing way too close to the wall, and the mushroom could actually just be voided out, and then I would lose that mushroom. So that's why I'm a bit avoiding standing too close to the wall, because I really don't want Harry's hand to be holding the mushroom inside there. Up here, and that is just allowing me to jump all the way up to the top of that, which is where I'm going to build the first actual shroom stack of this, which is going to be 6 high, though it could only be 4 high is the minimum that's required, but having 6 makes it more convenient because then I can just jump up onto the library area. Just drink a potion to place this one, and then I'm going to intentionally run into the snail because I need to take damage so that I can drink the potion next time to place another one. Nice ledge grab, very good movement. Gnome just wandering around aimlessly there because it doesn't really have anything to do. It's convenient that that gnome is actually just let out on his own, because some of the gnomes are actually just trapped here, which would mean that it would take a cast to get them, but with this gnome it doesn't take any casts, and we can just knock that gnome out. Like, there's another gnome trapped there that we can't get because it wouldn't be worth it. So it's nice that this guy is conveniently available to be used for Harry's purposes. Now, basically the ultimate goal of the little staircase we're building here is to carry more of the mushrooms up to the area up there, which is sort of a weird library place. And once they're in there, we're going to bring them to another place. Oh, I don't have any more mushrooms I need to get up there, so I can start getting from here instead. So I'm going to want to bring 8 mushrooms total into the library area. Well, there are a couple different variations of how to do this strat, so strictly you only really need like 6, but 8 is the convenient and somewhat safer option that I go for. Once I finish building this, there are only going to be 7, so I'm actually at the end going to remove 1 from that thing. But it's a while to go with this strategy. Even if I do this like whole level perfectly, it's probably still like 25 minutes before we finish the level, I think, if I'm reading things correctly. Please don't make me drop that mushroom, Mr. Gnome. The Libraria. Yeah, we could actually already bring this up if we just like jump and turn into the wall. I forgot to take damage. I'm going to steal these beans though, because I want them. Just go back and get another mushroom anyways. So the way I do this actually uses all of the mushrooms in this area that you can get. It's technically possible to get mushrooms from the very first area as well and bring them all the way over, which would add 3 possible mushrooms. I guess as long as we have some time, I'll go into another explanation of why glitchless Lowcast would be awful. All of this stuff is technically possible in glitchless, but in an actual glitchless Lowcast run, you would not have as many potions, so you would need to carry the gnome up, basically, and use the gnome to do all of the mushroom stacking, almost. So that would not be the nicest thing ever to have to do. I actually have done a glitchless version of this strat with unlimited potions, which even that is annoying, but at least in that case it's tolerable. So that's the last piece of this staircase. 6 mushrooms, wonderful. I'm just going to pick this up while they're not super close, because I would like to, well, sometimes if they're closer it's really hard to pick up the ones that are in this area without having them make you drop it immediately. So I would like to pick them up whenever it's convenient to, and we can just jump back up onto there. I don't want to take the save yet. Pixie can just make us drop those in here conveniently. So that is the first of 8 that I want to get into the library. Oh, yeah, that's what I was talking about. Not super nice, but luckily it didn't block us too much, and we can get this one up. I don't really need the Pixie to let me drop this one in the library because I'm at low health, so I would need to drink a potion anyways. I can just quickly drop it wherever I want to on my own, but the Pixie might bite me anyways depending on, well, how careful I am. He didn't. Frog standing on top of another frog for a bit there. I'm not doing a super good job keeping track in my mind of how many mushrooms are left here. Okay, that was the last one in the wall, so I don't need to go back to that area again. Basically, once I bring this one in, I'm going to take all of the ones that I left on the steps there and bring them up as well. And that's going to make 7, and then I'm going to take one from the bottom of the staircase, and that will make 8. Pixie kind of close here. Preferably I want to drop them like a bit further in rather than the front, but it doesn't make a huge difference because it's ultimately walking somewhere either way. Well, conveniently the gnome was not standing in the position to make me immediately drop that. Now I can just keep carrying more of these up into here. And still have not even saved a single spellcast with this yet, even though we've been going at it for all this time already. What, like, over 10 minutes in here so far, I think? So yeah, this is... well, I actually find it kind of a fun strat to do, but I don't think it's the most interesting to watch. That was an interesting place to drop that and pick it up. But yeah, if you wanted to do it super optimally, it would probably involve optimizing a ton of movement, which I really haven't. That was not intentional, but it worked out and I didn't void the mushroom. Wow, amazing. I should not have, like, rotated there. 5 mushrooms in the library, 3 left to get in. I don't know why I'm being so careful here. It's not like I'm going to take damage. Yeah, this is all to save 1 cast, and like, this is like just the first of like 3 parts of this strategy, really. Six mushrooms in here. We're getting close to the part where we save the first cast that makes up for casting on the mushroom, and then it'll be like another over 10 minutes until the second cast to actually make it worth all of it. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so I just need to bring 1 more mushroom in here. Now I can just grab this, and the rest of the staircase falls and stays the same as it was, because that's how falling things work all the time. I just need to get a ledge grab there, and that's still safe. I will finally take the save book here. Part 1 complete, I guess. I need to take damage, actually, so that I can drop a mushroom. Now this is the part where we're actually saving the first cast. If I drop this in a good spot, actually. So what we can do is we can jump on here and then jump on the chair and then just jump past this web. I'm just testing to make sure I actually have the mushroom in a good spot, and I do. The reason I'm opening the map there is because there's a chance that if I mess up where I'm jumping, I will start grabbing the mushroom and then potentially get stuck on the other side. But if you pause with either the map or menu during a mushroom pickup animation, then you can actually just cancel picking up the mushroom, and Harry will get in like an animation lock for a little bit. I'm going to change this to high graphics actually, just because I don't understand the visual cue here if I don't have high graphics. So yeah, you can lock Harry in an animation, and then when he's done with it, he will just not have picked up the mushroom. So I just spammed that because my reaction time is not good enough to get it afterwards, and then hopefully I will just not pick up the mushroom. It's actually more important later on, but helps here as well. So I dropped that mushroom in the wall. Basically, the remaining 7 mushrooms besides the one I'm using on the chair, I'm going to be stacking them up here. One is a base, which I won't actually be able to pick up later. This one I want to be a little bit past the base one that I can't pick up, so that when I'm picking it up, Harry will actually reach for that one. Because if I try to pick up the bottom one while I'm in a wall walk, then what will happen is Harry will rotate around and fall into the pit that is going to be there once the trap has been activated. And if that happens, that would be very unfortunate. The really wonderful part about this is that if I place these incorrectly, then we're just kind of locked out of the strat, because I'm going to actually take a save book before the part where I find out if I really placed them correctly. I'm just going to place all of these roughly inside each other, hopefully as much as possible in the same position. Just need this pixie to keep biting me so that I can keep using potions to drop them. And the way I'm trying to position them as precisely in the same area as possible is basically lining myself up, looking at the sleeve, and then just moving left until the other one blocks me. And they look like they're in a pretty good position there. So just need to do that with all of the remaining ones. Thank you, Pixie. So yeah, this is part 1 of part 2 of the strat, basically. And let's see. So far, this strat seems to be going well. I actually practiced, like, Goyle itself probably more than anything else going into this, just because, well, there aren't that many save books, and it's like 10 minutes or more between them, which means that if you do, like, mess something up, then it's possible to waste a very huge amount of time. Last mushroom, and then we have to go get the gnome. Wonderful. Okay. Hopefully those are good. If they aren't, well, that would just be a bit sad. Now, mushroom is not mushroom, the gnome is probably just standing around here aimlessly, so we'll just lure him off a ledge. This is actually way easier than knocking out any of the other gnomes. Why do I keep calling him a mushroom? Because we can just make him fall off this thing. We don't need to do anything weird with the gnome hole. Amazing throw. Let's also try not to avoid the gnome either. Now we're coming up on doing a wall walk so that we don't fall into the trap. The wall walk is actually pretty easy, but it's kind of a heart-stopping moment in this run because it's a huge amount of time wasted if I do mess it up. So, oh yeah, I should go back to low graphics since I don't need that visual cue anymore. If I do mess it up, that would be very annoying. could have just let that pixie bite me, but slid past him instead. Now, I'm going to jump up on here, and then Amazing Trap is going to trigger while I'm just standing up here. And we got the wall walk. Yeah. There's nothing hard about that, especially when you do it from starting on top of those mushrooms, but if we did miss it, then we would have to go back and restack all of those things. So, it's very nice not to mess that up. I'm just going to wait for this pixie cycle because I really don't feel like trying to jump around him precisely. Oh my, that's not great. I'm going to just... Yo. I really do not want to have to reload from a save here, so just give the pixie what he wants and let him leave. Okay, that's part 2 done. Got the second save of this strat, and now going to throw the gnome into here, and he can actually run out from that little area under there, and if he does, then he's going to try chasing these beans that are in the ectoplasm, so I need to collect the beans at the expense of Harry's health, just so that the gnome does not see any of them. I don't actually know exactly what the gnome's range is, but just going to be safe and take all of those so that the gnome will not run off. And if the gnome does escape, I should just be able to knock him out pretty easily and not have to worry about that. Now, here's a part that I kept failing in practice earlier. I need to do this wall walk 6 times, in fact. Well, I only need to do it 5 times, but I want to do it 6 times. So, if I fail at any of those times, I'm going to have to go back to the save with the gnome. And there is a little ledge grab in the center thing I can get, but alternatively I can just drop it with the pixie. So yeah, if I grabbed the bottom one, as I said before, then Harry would rotate around and fall into the pit, which is why I want them to be a bit past the bottom one that they're stacked on top of. I need to drink a potion anyway, so I might as well just drop this in a good spot here. Okay, 3 out of 6. Yeah, 31 potions. I mean, he's practicing to be like Goyle, who went through this whole area eating chicken legs. So, not getting that ledge grab well, just let the pixie bite me. The way to get this wall walk, I basically just need to like run up here and then not do that. So I'm just going to restart from the save. I have enough time to mess up at least once here. Luckily, I can just do all of the wall walks at the beginning, because I could also just opt to carry the mushrooms all the way over to this place instead, but that would make me have to potentially mess it up way later, and that would not be a nice way to do things. Just letting Pixie do his thing here. Yo. What I was trying to say is basically, if I fail this wall walk, it's very much my fault. The angle is extremely forgiving. I basically just need to, like, hold right once Harry hits the wall. So, no excuses there. 100% my fault. So, I actually, on the off chance that I keep failing this, I have a sort of plan for a backup to still show off the strat, but we'll hopefully not need to do that. See if I can actually get the ledge grab here for once. Hey, that worked. Okay, we're at 3 out of 6 again, so back to where we were in terms of doing the wall walks. Okay, and just let the pixie make me drop it. Okay, further than last time, 4 out of 6. Let's see if I can get the ledge grab from this side. Nope, just let the pixie again. That looked close, but I think it was actually not particularly close. It was just kind of a weird angle that made it look weird. Need a potion again, so just going to drop another one here. Just one more time to do this. Okay. That is good. Now, the reason I have 6 mushrooms here, there's only actually 5 that I need to bring to the area, but I really don't like the pixie down there, so I brought an extra one just so that I can get rid of that pixie, basically. I'm just going to be very patient and let the pixie go on the cycle, though, because I have a specific spot where it's easiest to kill the pixie with this mushroom. And now that pixie will not bother us anymore. So let's start bringing all of these mushrooms over into the next room. I'm just going to let him bite me because I don't particularly want to pick up a mushroom and then drop it again. So yeah, this is, I guess, part 2 of part 3 of this strategy, all to save one single cast for Lowcast, since we hate casting spells. Okay, the mushroom dropped in there. That actually means that I can stand on top of it when leaving here, so it's not too bad of a thing to happen. And we just need to go back and keep getting more of these mushrooms again, in case you didn't like carrying around mushrooms enough in the first part, so I'm just doing all of that thing again with these ones. And taking it really slow here because obviously if I hit the ectoplasm it's going to make me drop the mushrooms, and I really don't want to have to do that here. The mushroom that dropped inside there kind of actually helps me get around the ectoplasm for the other ones. I'm going to knock out the gnome and just throw him back into the area again so that he's not running around here. Not the fastest guy in existence. Using this as sort of a stepping stone again, just so that I can get up here without a ledge grab, throw him in, and now go back for the other 3 mushrooms still. Again, this is the kind of thing where, like, because this strategy makes you take so long between save books, if you like mess up somehow, it's a huge time loss compared to if you messed up in a normal category. So, in Lowcast, being careful always takes precedence over being fast, even though you also want to be fast. Yeah. I don't really understand why the collision helps you dodge the ectoplasm there, but it's kind of convenient. more mushrooms, and we're almost going to get to see the final part of this strategy, as long as nothing is messed up. By the way, you don't actually need a potion to drop the mushrooms in that area at the end. You can actually do it with a ledge grab in a weird way that makes it work, but I need to actually take damage so that I can drink the potion. If you do it with a ledge grab, it's a bit easy to just void out the mushrooms inside like the wooden bar there, so I don't want to do that, so I use a few more potions than are strictly necessary for this category, which is part of why I made so many before. After this... Oh my god, I thought I jumped there, but I just didn't. But I grabbed the ledge, so it was okay. But yeah, after this level, there aren't really that many mushrooms that are... Mushrooms. I keep saying mushrooms instead of other things. After this level, there aren't really many potions that are needed, strictly. There are a few more places in the game where we actually need a potion, but for the most part, after this level, it's just going to be, like, free potion chugging time whenever I want any. So now we have all of the mushrooms in here. I just need to get the rest of them onto the wooden bar here. Wow, the gnome escaped again. If the gnome escapes when you're in that area, there isn't really any way to get him back, so usually that doesn't happen, but it would be kind of annoying if it did. For some reason, even though he randomly walks out from under there all the time, I have never been able to lure him back in from the opposite side. I don't know exactly how that works, but it's not wonderful. So, just grab this one, sort of going to go into it, and then as soon as I start picking it up, go back, and then it'll take a few tries, but it should move a little bit to the right with each try. And now I actually need to get hit on purpose just so that I can drop it. Yeah. This is... I mean, I messed up with the wall walk once, but this has gone a bit more smoothly than I suspected so far. I really hope I'm not jinxing myself for the last part here. That is the last mushroom, and then I need to take damage before I go into the area with the gnome, just so that I can drink one last potion a bit later. Now I'm going to skip this first spiderweb by just boosting off of here, and then falling down in here. And I have no escape and no way to take damage in here, so I can only drink one potion. And that's the reason I brought the gnome in here, because the gnome can actually make me drop the mushrooms, which I couldn't drop them all myself. I really don't want to let the gnome pick up these beans, partly because I actually need them later in the game, but also partly because if the gnome picks up too many beans, he will stop chasing Harry. I think it's like 15 beans is the maximum that he will pick up, and he actually needs to be in the state of chasing Harry, as you can see right now. If he isn't, then you can't actually drop the mushroom by touching the gnome. This is not wonderful. Okay, still managed to chase me there. Just testing to make sure this is actually climbable. I'm going to do a thing where I drop one here, sort of weirdly, which hopefully sometimes this works out really quickly, where basically I get the gnome to run against that one that's on the floor, and then I can use that to drop the fourth one up there. That didn't quite work, and it just dropped at the same height. Let's see. Wasn't in the right state. That was wonderful. Getting the first 3 is really free with the gnome, but getting the 4th one is very annoying. But that mushroom is doing its job of making him just kind of stand there, and I got the 4th one. Now I just need to use the potion to drop the 5th one, because there isn't really a good way to make the gnome do that. And now I just need to jump over here, and that was successful. Picking up all of my beans, I collected a few more beans in this level, which means I now have 844, which is as many as I actually need, so as long as I don't lose more later, fine. Just walk past that, and, well, need to cast on the trapdoor. Not even going for the normal warpless strat here, because I know I would definitely fail it. And as long as I don't do anything really bad in the last part of this level, then we are on pace for 64 casts. I really don't like this one because the cutscene starts like super immediately and it feels like I messed up the cast somehow, even though I didn't. And that is done. So that was the last of the levels with really, really big Lowcast strats. Now it's, well, there are still a couple like, weird boosts that are not super easy to do, but it's relatively smooth sailing from this part. So now we turned into Goyle, and it's time to go to the Slytherin Common Room, which has basically no Lowcast strats at all. Literally the only strategy there is you can't cast on the pixie even if it's being annoying. Other than that, it's the same as like as warpless or basically glitchless. Just walking off there because I have a billion potions and it doesn't matter. Nice music. So, not much to explain here since no casts to do anyways in this part of the run. And we're just walking down here to go to the Slytherin Common Room. Trying to think if there is anything particularly interesting. Oh yeah, there is, I guess, something slightly will be worth mentioning towards the beginning of the Slytherin Common Room. Great password and great Goyle voice acting. Like, at the very beginning of Slytherin, like, I don't think there's any way that it would be possible, but you can actually aim on the second Flipendo cast in this area before you hit the first one. Like, I don't think it's technically possible. I'm sure someone has looked at that before, but it's really enticing to look at. But yeah, no way to actually do that, so we're just kind of doing this the same as we normally would. A bunch of casts in this level. Actually, that was already all but one of the casts in the level. They kind of happened really quickly. Just going to run up here. That Slytherin guy tells us to have fun, Goyle. That was a terrible jump. We're just going to do bridge skip, as you would normally do in Warpless, if I can do it correctly. Well, not the first try. My movement in this is not ideal, because I'm not really using double inputs all the time, because I just am bad at getting used to that. That was maybe slightly better. There we go. Now there's just going to be one more cast in this level, which is going to be coming up right here with this Lumos, which is another cast where it really quickly activates a cutscene that kind of is unnerving to me, but nothing really to be worried about. Very difficult strat of not killing those pixies. And just need to run through here as usual. Let's see. Is there anything interesting coming after this? Oh yeah, there is a hypothetical Lowcast strat I thought of here, which is that when you become hairy, actually, if you get caught, you don't lose collectibles when you restart. So hypothetically, if you went and used a few casts to get that bronze card in there, and then got caught, restart from the save, right? Wouldn't count. I'm very sure the mods would definitely accept that logic as being legitimate and not counting as casts. So someone else feel free to be the first to submit that. I'm just generously giving this strat to you. Might as well drink a potion since I have so many. And we're going to Spongify. Now, just another boost up here. And that worked perfectly fine. Spongify is going to be a pretty simple level. I mean, most of you here have probably seen other runs, or just the run a few hours ago, and we're basically just going to boost up to the end. Spoilers. Hopefully Lockhart's good looks will not distract me from doing the arrow keys here, which, in this case, I actually am doing them just to go faster. We're not going to go to the bonus bean room again, so I just want to get through this as fast as possible. I have 845 beans, which means I'm probably going to waste some time on RNG because I don't have a single bean to spare on the card price. So that's a bit unfortunate, but we'll see if I can get that price reasonably quickly. Wow, I don't think I've gotten a single fake input in this run so far, so bit at the last chance for that to happen. Hopefully it doesn't. See. What's also funny is that we're like most of the way through this run in terms of time, and we've only done about half of the casts so far, because they really are just stacked largely to a specific part. And this is a very high variance run in terms of the time it takes. We're actually like running pretty far behind the world record right now, which would complete in like 9 minutes or so. But, you know, the estimate accounts for that, so it's going actually surprisingly well at the moment. Here we don't need to do that Spongify. Just going to fail that boost and then fall off. Okay, and then we have to do this one cast, and then just going to boost off of this. And wow, we made it to the end of the level. Amazing. And now we are going to haggle for a very low price for Bronze Wizard cards, since we can't afford much more.
Press on the yes button to accept the trade, or the no button to decline.
124, that would be usually good, but unfortunately I'm low on beans. This is exactly how you should negotiate prices in real life, by the way. Just go up, leave once they say the price, and go back, and they'll always give you a random price.
I already have a prospective buyer, so you better act fast. Perhaps I'll have something you'll like next time. What do you have?
I have a bronze wizard card. I already have a prospective buyer, so you better act fast.
It's actually pretty important to do this at this point, too, because if we wait, we can actually get to a game state where there aren't going to be any traders available. So, if we did that accidentally, it would be kind of bad because we wouldn't be able to buy the cards that we need.
I have a bronze wizard card. I already have a prospective buyer, so you better act fast. Perhaps I'll have something
If this goes on
like next
too long, I might give up, but we have a few minutes, even
I have a bronze wizard card.
like world record wastes a few minutes on this actually.
Perhaps I'll
Wow,
have something you'll like
220.
next time.
Some terrible prices here.
I have a bronze wizard card. I already have a prospective buyer, so you better act fast. Perhaps I'll have something you'll like next time.
This guy is driving a very hard bargain
I have
today.
a bronze wizard card. I already have a prospective buyer, so you better act fast. Perhaps I'll have something you'll like next time. What do you have? I have
Oh,
a
that
bronze
was...
wizard card. already
I
have a
just kind of
prospective
accidentally
buyer,
pressed
so
two
you
keys
better
at
act
once
fast.
and somehow got a super fast trade there. That was convenient.
What do you have? I have a bronze wizard card. I already have a prospective buyer, so you better act fast. Perhaps I'll have something you'll like next time. What do you have? I have a bronze wizard card. I already have a prospective
Already
buyer,
getting
so
very
you
sick
better
of this
act
voice
fast.
line.
Perhaps I'll have something you'll like next
123... That would be so good in a normal run with more beans.
I already have a prospective buyer, so you better act fast. Perhaps I'll have something you'll like next time. What do you have? I have a bronze wizard card. I already have a prospective buyer, so you better act fast. Perhaps I'll have something you'll like next time. What do you have? I
Another
have a
fast
bronze
one.
wizard card.
Wow.
already
I
have
really
a
had no idea
prospective
how
buyer,
to
so you
even do
better act
that.
fast. Perhaps I'll have something you'll
So
like next
close.
time. What do you have? I have a bronze wizard card. I already have a prospective buyer, so you better act fast.
They really
Perhaps
couldn't
I'll
have given this
something
guy
you'll
like
next time.
3 voice lines or something.
I have a bronze wizard card. I already have a prospective buyer, so you better act fast. Perhaps I'll have something you'll like next time. What do you have? I have a
Funny thing
bronze
is, I don't
wizard
think
card.
we're even
I already
losing
have a
time
prospective
against
buyer,
PB
so
yet.
you better act fast. Perhaps I'll have something you'll
224,
like
that
next
is
time.
awful
What do you
price.
have? I have a bronze wizard card. I already have a prospective buyer, so you better act fast. Perhaps I'll have something you'll like next time. What do you have? I have a bronze wizard card. I already have a prospective buyer, so you better act fast.
I wonder what this guy
Perhaps
has.
I'll have something you'll like next time. What do I have a bronze wizard card. I already have a prospective
The worst thing
buyer,
possible
so you
would be
better
if I
act
pressed
fast.
no when it actually was a 120.
Perhaps I'll have something you'll like next time. What do you have? I have a bronze wizard card. I already have a prospective buyer, so you better act fast.
Yes! 120. Yes, I am so glad that this did not take like 5 times as long. Okay, so this is getting us up to 9 bronze wizard cards, and then there's going to be one extremely easy one to get left still. So we'll just get that a little bit later.
You haven't enough beans left to buy that. Sorry.
Well, that's because you charge me so much. So, 9 cards there, perfectly good, and now we will go, and we're... Well, I haven't actually checked, but unless something very unusual happened, we're going to be behind Slytherin house points now, so we will not enter the bonus bean room. And instead, we are going to go follow Ron to a bathroom, which, to be fair, is a pretty normal thing to do in this game. Well, Ron's a bit slow, so we're not following him at the moment. Just going to do a little boost here, or would have if that had gone different, but we can just take the stairs like we're supposed to. Let's see, we're about to be entering the Hagrid cutscene, which very amazing Lowcast strat of just standing there and doing nothing, the same as in any other category where you have to watch it. So, can take a nice long look at young Hagrid and young Tom Riddle. Wow, very cinematic start to this cutscene.
Gotta get you out of here.
Hagrid, there is nothing there. Who are you talking to?
In the box. It's all right. Come on out. There you go.
Evening, Rubeus.
What are you doing down here, Tom?
It's all over. I don't think you meant to kill anyone, but monsters
Joe.
don't make good pets.
It never killed no one.
Come on. The least
Just
Hogwarts
a
can
little
do
bit
is
of this
make sure
left,
they kill
and
that
then
girl slaughtered.
you'll be entering
It wasn't him. He
final
wouldn't,
parts
he
of this.
Stand aside.
never. No!
Hi, Aragog. Okay, so now we are walking towards Hagrid's hut, and Hagrid conveniently just leaves out a bronze card on a tree stump for us to find, which is going to be the last bronze card we collect. It's actually important that we don't, well, the route I'm doing doesn't collect a bronze card in Forest, which is also possible to collect, but if we were collecting that, it's actually really important that we don't collect that as the 10th one, because that does a weird glitch in the game where basically the spell origin point gets stuck, and then you can't really complete the level properly. So it's good to avoid doing that. And about to skip a cutscene here and be on the other side, and just go to get that 10th Bronze Wizard card and finally get that second health bar that we want. And since it's a 10th card, we can do a nice little Hess here, which I guess that wasn't even a particularly good one. It's a very important time save in this very optimized category. Okay, so now in Forest. This, obviously we don't want the Lumos because we don't want to cast, so we're just... Did application frame host open or something while I was here? I'm just going to check. Nope, it's just being slow on its own. So, just jump, or, well, not like that. Basically, we just want to jump around there, and then okay. I think the game stopped lagging as much as it was. Okay, got it this time, so you can just boost up there, jump around, and don't have to do any spells to get over to this other side here. Nice frog, which don't really need because I have so many potions. No way to avoid that spellcast. Let's not mess this up now. Just going to take this nice and slow. And that was good. Very slow, but more important to get it first try, since there is no backup in this category. A couple more casts there. We skipped the first web, which you can just kind of walk past. So that was convenient. We're just going to walk... Okay, not like that. So yeah, we just want to, like, get past these without casting on anything. Fall down into the side of this, jump off and land here. Going to be 4 more spellcasts here, which there actually is a way to skip one of those web spellcasts using the mushrooms from the area up there. If there were one more, then there could be a really annoying mushroom strat in this level too, but thankfully there isn't. Though there would be if you were to do like Lowcast 100% or Lowcast all wizard cards. That was a terrible boost. I'm trying to boost across this waterfall. This is probably the boost in this category that I am worst at. But basically, I just want to delay the boost and then do an auto boost, so it boosts me super far and hopefully gets me across the waterfall, which I'm trying to basically use a visual cue to set up the correct position to do that on, but sometimes it doesn't go super well. That was very close to working. But sadly not quite. Oh, that was a good jump past the spider compared to the other times I went there. Sort of like rotating around there makes it way easier to land on the ledge, by the way, which is why I'm doing that, because it's a bit like wider at the base there. Luckily the save isn't all that far back. Let's see if I... Nope. This is a bit of a weird boost, because it goes way better for me in practice than I usually get it in runs, which I just need to basically delay it by the correct amount to actually make it to the right spot, and sometimes I'm like over delaying or under delaying, I think is the problem happening here. But I'll try a couple more times and potentially just give up if it goes, that was totally wrong. Yeah, I might just take one more cast on this if I can't get it right now. I'm also making sure to drink the potion ahead of trying to do that, just because I can take a lot of fall damage on that boost, and I don't really want to have any risk of actually dying after the boost if I boost too high up on that, because I can't really control well how high it ends up being, so it's better to just have enough. This is going to be the last try here. Well, not that, because I went in totally the wrong direction. Okay, I'm just going to give up on that one because I'm not doing a good job of it right here. The reason I'm rotating the camera, by the way, is just so it's easier to tell me, it's easier for me to tell where I am while doing that boost, because then I can actually see if I need to hold backwards out of it to get onto the area. Otherwise it's more difficult for me to see what's going on underneath. But I'm just going to take a failure right now and cast Spongify here, and that puts us on pace for 65 casts. Now, end of forest here. Just walk past those imps. We had to do one more cast on those vines or branches, and another cast on these ones. We're getting close to the Aragog boss fight, which is the highest cast part of the game. That got an animation lock. Wonderful. What is this? That was interesting. Wow, I'm just not going to die, I guess. I will reload. Thankfully there was a save not much before that. Okay, and we're back. Have to do these again. Walk past the spider again. Walk past the other spiders again. Free beans here, but they're not very useful for us. Chug some more potions. Not get hugged on here while trying to get the ledge grab is something important. That was also awful. I tried to boost with the mouse because I forgot to set up arrow key boosting after reloading the game, but I couldn't mash hard enough with the mouse, which is why I failed that. So I'm going to actually set this up. Yeah, that boost, we're going all the way to get on top of the tree, which, by the way, as everyone knows, trees are just big logs with nothing on top. It's exactly what trees look like, right? Well, now that we're on top, we can just go around, which is saving us from doing some casts that we would normally have to do to get to the opposite side and enter the Aragog boss fight. So we're just going to jump on top of this, instead of pushing it down, jump over here, and then walk to the opposite side. And then there's some nice collision here, which we will have to drop into partway down, because otherwise we would die from fall damage. And one more cast to enter here. And now we are in the boss fight, which takes 15 whole casts, almost a quarter. Oh, a bit loud, by the way. I think I might have messed up a cast on there, which... Yep. I'm just going to restart this. I'm trying to do 2 casts per web on these. If I mess up, then I want to reload. That, I think I also messed up. Not the greatest boss fight. Okay, I think I got those casts fine. That cast didn't even go out. I'm just going to do the rest of these without pause casting because I don't want to reload again. And it's actually very easy when you just do it casually. Should be a way to do this fast with like the Chungus strat, but I'm just going to take this very safe and slow and kill Aragog using exactly 7 critical hits. So, yeah. This boss fight is probably, like, at least out of the areas in the run that have any spellcasts that you do, it's probably the only one that a casual player could do in the same number of spellcasts as someone doing a Lowcast run, because there just really isn't all that much you can do to break this boss fight with respect to the number of casts. It's just going to be 8 for all of the webs, and then at least 7 casts on Aragog with 7 crits. And that is the last one there. Now we're out of Aragog, just chamber left basically. There are a few interesting strats here, but mostly nothing too crazy. Just going to... We are about to finally see the payoff of all of that time in Quidditch and Bean bonus room and negotiating for a good card price, just so we could get the second health bar for one strat that is about to happen. Just at the very beginning of Chamber, which I believe technically none of that is necessary because there's an absurdly hard boost you could do instead, but I don't know how to do that, so I'm just doing the easy thing. So here it is. The strat that we spent all that time on earlier was to fall down here and survive, but we needed 2 health bars. It was all worth it to save exactly 1 cast. Now we need to get first try Scourge Snipe here. We don't need to get first try Scourge Snipe, but we do need to get first try, so if I fail it, then I'm going to have to restart from the save, so I'm going to try to set it up slowly if I can. And let's see if this slow setup works. Okay, that worked. So then we can just walk on through there and take the save. Now there are actually 2 strats we could do here. There's a boost we could do, which people call like the IL boost because it's kind of a bit hard to do, which is why I'm not going to do it, and I'm instead going to do chamber jump here, where I basically just jump around. That's not good. I'm going to let this thing land on me so that I can restart and watch the amazing unskippable cutscene again. Yeah, the easy thing, exactly. Well, it's definitely a lot easier than the IL boost. Basically, it's just like a kind of precise jump here, which I got a bit close to making, but not quite. Now I'm being like afraid of accidentally casting on the rock again, even though that's not something that really should happen. Okay, that didn't take all too long. Unfortunately, that's not an ectoplasm you can jump through. A couple webs here that are also casts. There are really only a few casts left in the game now. I'm just going to boost up here. Not like that. That was a very weird boost getting up there, but it somehow worked. Going to cast on that, and we are done with Chamber 1. And now we need to do a little bit of a weird auto boost here to actually avoid having to do another thing, which landed in the wrong spot there. I want to land basically really high up in a wall walk so that I can just directly go to the next area. That's not really the right area. This boost tends to take a few tries, basically trying to line it up in the right spot and also delay it by the right amount. Do an auto boost. Landing too low. And died, but that doesn't matter a whole lot since we're just going to start right in front of here again. So. Failed again. Let's see. That one was really close, but still failed. I think that was the wrong type of ledge grab, given that I didn't go over to the wall at all. Close again. Yeah, this is one of the... possibly the last, like, seriously annoying strat to actually save a spellcast. And now we got it. So, now we can just walk through this hallway, and no way to avoid casting on these ropes. Just don't want to miss those casts, because then I would have to do all of that stuff again. And now, this part, I can do pretty much the same as in other categories. I'm just going to walk here, or not. Wonderful gameplay. Oh, we got the weird wall walk here. Whatever, that works, I guess. And then there's the boulder chase, which is actually a little bit of an interesting but not particularly hard section, which is basically because we don't want to cast Defendo on any of those vines there. So I'm actually going to run down in a specific route that lets me just easily fall into ledge grabs here to do boosts over the vines. So if I just fall off at the correct point, then here he goes right into the ledge grab, and I don't even have to think about it. I don't really want to be on top of there. I'm gonna keep losing health. That was terrible. I just randomly moved to the wrong side. Such a fun part of the run, I wanted to do it one more time. After just talking about how I don't even need to think about where I'm going. But yeah, there's sort of a free path there as long as you don't, like, randomly move to the wrong side. You can just fall into what you need. And then we are coming up on the last spellcast of the game here, which for this run is going to be cast number 65. Just not going to bother going for the strat here at the moment. My game is lagging a little bit, which is not great. But we are done with spellcasts, and now we have reached the Basilisk Room. Should we make a potion? Well, we have 10. Hopefully that'll be enough. So, just walk through here without a care in the world. What? Who cares about losing a health bar? We can just drink as many potions as we want. By the way, casting energy beams from a sword is not a spellcast. So, we can just do this as poorly as we want, and it doesn't really matter, because we have 10 potions, and we just need to get out of here and complete the game at this point. There are not really any strats left at this point. Just taking this a bit slow because I'm not very good at this, because most of my practice goes into the parts that actually require skipping casts. And we are almost done here. And that is the end of Snake. And we just need to walk to the end of the game now. Yep. Well, that was only a little bit overestimate. That was not a terrible run for a category such as this. But yeah, 65 casts. Not very surprising. I was hoping to go for 63, but I kind of expected it would turn out similar to this. So, yep. Nice run, I guess. Oh, I probably should have said something about time, but whatever.
Think we'll take it again this year? After you and Harry saved Hogwarts? I should think so.
Anyways, thanks everyone for watching, and please consider donating, I guess.
In third place, Hufflepuff.
Thank you.